Daily Broadside to 891. Wait till you hear this. So my buddy calls me yesterday evening, and he's like, you want to hear a funny story? I say, do I want to hear a funny story? Of course I want to hear a funny story. So he's like, yeah, man. He's like, I got home yesterday. I got done working earlier, and I thought, so it's like, 2:30, 3:30, somewhere around there in the afternoon. And I had like an hour and 45 minutes, and I had to go by and do a quote at somebody's house. But I also had been contacted by this girl on Facebook Marketplace, and I needed to go deliver a small piece of furniture because she didn't have a vehicle big enough to haul it. So I was like, well, I'll be heading over that way. I can do it on Thursday. And so we made an appointment for like 5:30. So I had like a little less than 2 hours to do nothing, before I needed to go back out. I think you're following. So he's like, I loaded the furniture in my truck. I go inside and sit down in the chair, and I flip the TV on. I'm just kind of vegging out. He's like, but before I do, I take my work pants off, my shorts that I was wearing, just because it was more comfortable, and they were kind of dirty. And I'm just sitting there in underwear and socks and a t-shirt, just kind of watching TV, and I started getting tired, so I set an alarm and enough time for me to get where I needed to be, and just in case I dozed off. Well, sure enough, he dozes off in no time. He's asleep in the easy chair. Alarm goes off whenever it goes off. An hour or so later, he's like, I just hit my alarm and I take off. Grab the keys, throw my shoes on, and I'm heading down the road. And I was like, you in your underwear? He's like, that's where it gets weird. And I'm like, oh my God. And so he's like, I get where I'm going, and I have not paid any attention to what I'm wearing. It didn't, I guess in my sleep, like I just woke up and just hit the door and took off, I didn't notice it when I put my shoes on. I didn't notice it when I got in the truck. I just didn't notice anything, right? I don't realize that I'm wearing boxer briefs. I was like, what color were they? He's like, they were dark. They matched the pants I had on. It's probably why I didn't recognize them. I was like, you're a weird dude. And I said, I would think I would notice if I got into a truck, walked across the yard. Like the breeze is different, all that, Like, I don't know. Anyway, so he's like, so I said, well, when did you realize it? I said, it's a girl you're going to meet? He's like, yeah, it was like a single mom that didn't have a truck. So, I mean, it was kind of weird, I'm guessing, And I was like, yeah, I imagine so. I was like, so what did you do? He's like, well, I pulled up. And it wasn't until she pulls up, she was already there. So I pull up next to her, and I go to open my door. And as I look down to grab the door, I realize I'm wearing boxer briefs. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's when you realized it. And so he says, I said, well, what'd you do? He's like, well, I opened the door and I quickly shut the door. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of an art. I mean, you could get out and act like it was like normal and hope she didn't notice, and you just play it off like this is what I do every day. Or you shut the door and, I mean, what'd she do? Yeah, she's like, she got the furniture out herself. So I was like, well, chivalry is dead. And I said, how did you explain that off? He's like, well, I shut the door real quick. I don't think she saw anything. She's walking over the car. I roll the window down, and I was like, hey, I pulled a muscle in my back. It's not that heavy, but can you lift it? And she's like, yeah, or whatever. And so I just sat in the truck. So you sat in the truck while this girl unloaded this piece. He's like, it wasn't anything like crazy heavy, It was like a little, what do you call it? Occasional table, or one of the, like just a little table you'd put next to a chair. An accent chair, as the furniture people call it. And I'm like, and so you just sat there while she like just drug this thing out and put it in her car, and then she had to come over and give you the money, I imagine. She's like, yeah, I couldn't get out. And I'm like, you're a freaking idiot. And I'm like, this is the type of stuff that my friends get into. And this is why I like them, and because they're amusing and they give me great stories like that, because I mean, what do you do, It reminds me of a time that I'll have to tell another day because it's kind of a long story, where I was in a state of undress and I locked myself out of my room, and it was a good story. I'll just have to tell it another time. But I'll end you with this. You ever notice that, like, other than like 70s and 80s pickup trucks, brown is never a good color on a car? And it's odd to me that brown was ever offered as a color to a vehicle. Like, who goes to a dealership and gets a station wagon in '82 and is like, I'll take the Caprice wagon in brown. I mean, who thought that was a good? That's just it's just weird how colors, change. Now we got cars that are agreeable gray because that's the trend the last few years and all. But I don't know, man. And I'll say this too: if you are eating off of like Dixie paper plates every night, I get that you don't have to do that. That has to be, to me, like a laziness thing, not a money thing. Because you see poorer people eating off of paper plates, and poorer people, I'm not saying they're lazy, but there is a tendency to be lazy when you don't have a lot of money, which is part of the reason why you haven't gotten yourself up. I'm not saying everybody, so chill out. But there's some hardworking poor people, don't get me wrong. But there's also some lazy ass poor people. And eating off of paper plates is the lazy thing, because what you spend in those things in a month, you could just buy some damn plates. Plates aren't that expensive. You go to Walmart or Target and get one and get a whole pack of 12 plates for like $40. I mean, that's like a couple weeks of Dixie paper plates. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. And Rent-A-Center, they have a slogan that says they have a worry-free guarantee. If you're going to buy your furniture and your wares at Rent-A-Center, it's true. You don't have any worries about anything. Your credit score, your savings, your life, pretty much anything. I think I can't think of a situation in life whereby you would go rent furniture that you're not just a complete loser in life. Challenge me. I mean, tell me where that, because if you need, they needed furniture and they needed it. There's all kinds of places to buy furniture. Habitat restores and thrift stores and marketplace and Craigslist type place. I mean, nowadays there is no excuse for renting furniture. That industry shouldn't even exist, but it does. Y'all losers. Hopefully not my followers, because I would think y'all would have a little more sense. They get it.